Hey, good morning, everyone. Again, my name is Vinny Blasio. Today is August 9th in 2024. So we'll just start off Friday's podcast. We'll probably have a couple coming out between now and the end of today or tomorrow. So we'll start off today. First, I just want to recognize or state for the record that the opinions that I express are clearly my own. I represent no other entity, department, agency, union, and any thoughts that I have are strictly my own opinions. And if anybody knows opinions are like assholes. Everybody has one, and usually the advice that you're getting is worth less than what you're paying for it. So again, with that, let's start off the podcast by recognizing all the law enforcement officers, especially those that are in corrections, and let's give thanks for their service and their sacrifice to the state of New York. If New York won't recognize them, let's recognize each other. So today we're going to start off in prayer. God, I pray for their safety and ask you to place your arms as a security blanket around each and every officer. And we ask that they are safe as they walk around the facilities in danger every day. We ask that you bless and you protect them and give them the strength to carry out their assignments and work under the tremendous stress and mandates that they are under. We ask this in Jesus' name, amen. So yesterday we had an incident at Wyoming, so we'll pick up there. Last week we kind of touched on the Collins, and we'll get to that in a minute and kind of contrast the two incidents. But another possible fentanyl exposure. I think we can all read between the lines on that. The department isn't saying anything, but I think we can pretty much gather what the toxins are, chemicals that our officers are exposed to. So we had officers and sergeants that had to be sent out, some as precautionary measures, and that is a good thing. So we prayed that for the sergeants and officers' safety and full recovery. And yesterday I heard the scanner going off, as many of you also did, and heard the scanner in real time. So it was happening, and as it was happening, I was relaying the information live. We live in today in the world of instant information and communication, and that's the world we live in today. So being a former watch commander, I know that causes problems when Facebook is relaying information, especially when it's relaying information before or as it's being disseminated to others, and I know the impact that does on the watch commander's job and others. So and it's difficult enough, and I understand that as you're trying to run a jail. So with that said, I own that. Not going to say that anything is going to change, but in the world that we lived in, I did that as a watch commander, and it's certainly something we have to recognize, but that's the age of technology that we live with. Better a controlled message than people putting out a ton of messages and inaccurate information. Again, as I stated before, every opinion that I put out is my own, and sometimes we get it wrong, but the information was directly coming over from the scanner, and in this case, I don't think that there was anything that was. I did read some other things that were not necessarily true, but as I said, everybody is running to be the first one to put the message out. But it's something that's hard to work with. Like I said, as being a watch commander, I fully understand that, and I own that. But with that said, as I quickly criticize when things go wrong with local administrations, I also said in my last podcast, I also give accolades when an administration does something right. And yesterday with the incident that happened in Wyoming, the administration got it right. I mean, let's be honest. Not only did they help during the incident, and the administrators were present, and I heard that they were there at different areas, especially the infirmary of the facility. Wyoming got it right. Not only did they help during the incident, they saw the troops during, after, and at the hospital. I mean, that is great, and a great job by the local administration for that. Once again, we had staff going to the hospital to check on everyone at the hospital while they were off duty, including another lieutenant. As I said before, lieutenants are a different breed. Great job. And, I want to say great job again to the administration. I can't preface that enough. And, that's something that these employees will remember for the rest of their careers, if not lives. That goes a long, long way to show that the officers, that someone, whether you agree with management decisions or not, is, you want that camaraderie, and you want to know that somebody cares. And we'll talk about that a little later. But that's in stark contrast to what happened at Collins. Maybe DOCCS should make a training manual, like they do for so many of us that have sat through trainings throughout our careers, and you could show Wyoming and what they did and say, this is how a great facility acts, and show what the administration did there, and then contrast that and show Collins how they got it wrong and what not to do. Wyoming, they addressed lineup right away. Great job. Collins, they put out an email to staff at 3:40 p.m. the next day. Wrong. So again, training manual, Wyoming, yes. Collins, not so much. So, DOCCS sends a message every day as it communicates its messages. Let's look at some of these examples, as the overall, and take the step away from the local administrations a little bit. Let's look over DOCCS messages, especially, yesterday. DOCCS was first to put, in one of the news article, they were quick to downplay the incident. Why is that? Probably because the week before they got their ass handed to them, and it caused all kinds of press releases and bad information against the governor, and DOCCS itself. Didn't make it unfactual. Wasn't that it wasn't true. DOCCS didn't like it because, again, it wasn't the message that they wanted, and it didn't put them in a favorable light. So, but let's look at how DOCCS sends message every day as it communicates. Let's take a look at some of these examples. The first one, let's look at DOCCS's own memo when they put out. Just shows the egotistical side of DOCCS and the entrenchment of the same players over and over again. And you kind of get the mentality out there when the commissioner put out the first memo, when he first announced the closures. He sent it to every union president, sent it to the union, sent it to the media, and basically said that we're closing 2 prisons. If staffing doesn't improve, we're going to close 3 more. As I said in my last podcast, that's a horrible message. There's better ways to say things and better way to treat your staff, but that shows the mentality of what DOCCS has really become, and it's systemic of the whole DOCCS management system. You emulate what you've become over the years, and basically it's take it to my way, and that's why so many personal employees have sued DOCCS, and they've won, exactly because of this egotistical management style. So the commissioner says we are going to close 2 prisons if staffing doesn't improve. We're going to close 3 more. Okay, that's like saying if morale doesn't improve, we will continue to beat you. Hello, DOCCS, you are in control of retention and recruitment. Let me put that in perspective. Nobody else controls that, so threatening employees doesn't have the effect that you want it to have. You haven't done anything in over 2 years, and now all of a sudden you want to say that you're going to threaten employees. Well, if not, we have to close 3 more. You've done nothing on retention, let alone the recruitment aspect. Who the hell wants the job nowadays? Then you have these so-called managers at the facility also emulating DOCCS hierarchy, threatening staff with discipline for not answering their phones for a mandate, or these new crazy memos that are out there, leaving voicemail messages. I think the last facility, they put in there that we're going to call you and leave you a voicemail, and then if you don't come in, we're going to give you an AWOL. First of all, you can't do that. That's just absolutely ludicrous. And in that memo, you've basically put in there that you've recognized and have a situation that you've done nothing about for 2 years. That's probably another, but that's a subject for a different day and a different IP that should be filed immediately. But anyway, as I digress, so you can't do that, and then it has the opposite effect. You're threatening employees. Just like the Collins memo that says that you're going to take away RDOs. Correction officers don't do well with threats. But more importantly, it's how you treat your employees. Really? That's what you do? That's how that really improves morale. That helps your retention problem. That helps recruitment, because you basically threaten your employees. And we'll go down some different examples of this, and it's crazy. My favorite example was just yesterday, again, the upside down flag at Great Meadow is a facility that's scheduled for closure. So think about that. You're uprooting every single employee, not just correction officers, not just sergeants, not just lieutenants, everyone, from the administration on down. For those that don't retire, and some of them are going to be forced to retire, and the message that comes out from the DOCCS spokesperson is, and I quote, "If a staff or volunteer at the facility is found responsible, there will be consequences." Oh no, shiver me timbers. Again, threats. DOCCS knows nothing else but threats, except when it comes to inmates, but we'll touch on that in a minute. So that's a direct threat, again, without knowing any facts, how the flag did it, who did it, and you're just going to go and blame first and then threaten staff. Idiots. And you wonder why we have a retention and recruitment problem. Prime example right there. Again, you cannot have the people that caused the problem be the same people that's to solve it. Again, let me say that again. I said it last, and I want to drive this point home. You cannot have the same people that caused the problem solve it. You're fired. It doesn't work. Funny that although you're going to get an AWOL and an employee is going to get disciplined or threatened with discipline, and you have an inmate that bites a finger off an officer and they get 15 days. Yeah, that's a deterrent, not. Look at your own policies and your own problem, and you think that there may be a bigger picture here? I mean, sorry if I get a little emotional at these things, but I mean, these press releases that come out and the threats and the unveiled threats is just the management style that's systematic upon DOCCS, and it has to change. And the only way you're going to change it is to shake up administrations and shake up the mentality. And when you put the same people and you move titles around, it doesn't work. It just doesn't work. You can take shit and pull it all you want, but at the end of the day, it's still shit. So the system is upside down, and we know that. We've all been through the DEI settlement. For anybody that has time, we went through the NYDOCCS settlement, so we know what happened there, and how DOCCS is always afraid of change. And if we get the same judge that did away with the stop and frisk in New York City, we're going to have things are going to be a lot worse. Could it really be any worse than what we have today? You created it, you allowed it, you did nothing to happen, and this is for everyone, not just one specific person. Some of the legislative stuff, and they went a step further. The New York State legislature, not only did they go way past what happened in the DEI settlement and NYDOCCS settlement, they created this HALT Act, and then they codify it in law. So basically, you're tying the hands and making this a law. That's absolutely crazy. No pilot programs. Let's see what happens. People were warned ahead of time that we're going to have these types of assaults. It's going to hurt inmates and officers alike. And let's see where it goes. No, we're just going to throw out a law and we're going to make it, and everybody's going to have to eat it. And when everybody gets hurt, what's going to happen? And the famous lines that I keep saying over and over by the different news people is, what is it going to take? Is somebody going to die? Well, we almost had that at Collins, and now we've almost had that at Wyoming. So I think it is. And then the legislator, this governor, and DOCCS management has blood on their hands. There's a better way, and there's avenues to solve these problems, but just finger pointing and threats are not the way to go. I just can't imagine how everybody feels. And it's like, is it crazy? You betcha. It's crazy. I don't know what else to say. It's just, if you were writing a book, nobody would actually believe this. It would be like, are you kidding me? And these small things that nobody thought were going to come to fruition years ago, we've all heard it. Oh, they're going to take away solitary confinement. They're going to do this. Oh, New York has never had really solitary confinement because they get so many programs out of cell time and see counselors and medical and everybody else. And that'll never happen. Well, guess what? It happened. When you don't pay attention to the small things, this is what happens. Then you get the big things shoved down your throat. And some of it isn't DOCCS's fault. It's how they management that I do blame DOCCS for. So, and I get it. It's what happens when you feel like there's nowhere else to turn. You start to take matters in your own hands, and we're starting to see that now. You're starting to see people talk crazy thoughts and and things and different types of strikes and job actions, and we'll talk on that in a minute. And they feel that nobody's listening to them. And it's when it seems like when people aren't listening, we feel like our thoughts don't matter. And that's what it comes down to. It lowers our confidence because we don't have anything worth contributing. It can lead to depression, anger, anxiety. And first, if anyone feels that way, call me. call a friend, call a professional, and call the law enforcement helpline. On my news group, obviously, I posted it several times, the law enforcement helpline. And if anyone is feeling that, especially when you're in these high stress situations, you're being mandated, your family life, it's causing divorce, no child care, especially if both are work for a facility, and you're both getting mandated. It's I've just talked to a grandmother the other day who retired from DOCCS, has 2 children in the department, and she is raising the kids basically because both parents are constantly mandated at work. So I get it, and let's take care of each other first. Not do the finger pointing or keeping things inside. Let's really try to help each other and do that. So if you're feeling any of those things, call someone. Everyone needs help at some time, and there's nothing to be ashamed of. And the law enforcement helpline, I think, is very good, and I fully support that. When we get back to some of these things with the state, it's like, don't let the state ruin your life or control your thoughts. You are a person, you have worth, and don't let the negative environment that you work at and the negative conditions that are forced down your throat and some of these people with these crazy memos and the way that they treat you, don't let that get to you. Easier said than done. I know it. I left for a reason. Somebody asked me just the other day, and like I said, I'm helping another organization going through something, though they have much better management to deal with, and actually people that are helping and listening to some of the problems that the officers are having. But I use this scenario, which before I retired, and I didn't want to retire, I'll be the first one to say it. DOCCS had changed so much, and I retired in 2020. I didn't want to change. I didn't want to retire, but I didn't like the change that was coming. We saw the NARC system change, and the disciplinary system change immensely. We saw all the tickets get thrown out for drugs, and basically you wonder why you have a fentanyl problem is because you just basically, between halt and doing away with the disciplinary system and not doing anything with drugs, is you basically let the gangs take over and just solidify their place. Maybe they're part of DOCCS management and getting paid off. I don't know, but it's like, it's crazy. But the gangs are running the jails and running the drugs through their jail, and the officers are unfortunately paying the price. But getting back to where I said, as far as retirement, when I was forced to retire, is I couldn't do my job. As a tier hearing lieutenant, I couldn't give out sanctions, and especially I remember this specifically. When I'm sitting there and I'm giving the least amount or the most amount that I can, but it was the least amount, wasn't happy enough for this inmate. So let's get that straight. The inmate was begging me for more time at a sanction at a disciplinary hearing. Yeah, and any disciplinary lieutenant, sergeant, and officers that sit in on them, they'll tell you. It's on video. You'll hear it. It's like the inmate goes, "I need more time." It's like, well, what do you mean you need more time? He's like, "I'm going to have to do something because you're not giving me enough time. I need to stay in here in S block because I do not want to go out to GP." Call them cell gangsters, call them whatever you want, but that's part of the jail business. They wanted time to stay protected because he wanted to stay in S block so he didn't have to go out in GP. Maybe he had gambling debts, maybe there was a gang order hit on him, who knows. But he didn't want that, didn't want to do anything, so he wanted to his way was to get disciplinary, doing stupid stuff, and to get more time. So he says, if you don't give me more time, I'm going to have to take these officers and do something just so I can keep face and get more time. So I'm not going to go into detail as far as what happened after that too much, because I don't want to really get into too much detail, but the inmate did get more time, let's put it that way. He got his wish without anybody getting hurt or without any threats that he said, and he was serious, and it was simply because the inmate doesn't feel safe out in general population, whatever the reason he had. I think it was more with gambling debts and gang related, but it doesn't matter the reason, and that's what the people that come up with these crazy rules is that, the inmate here is begging to get time, and now you're just saying everybody gets a free-for-all in 15 days. It's just crazy. I'll never compare the officers to the inmates, but you're going to threaten an officer getting an AWOL for not answering his phone, but you're going to allow inmates who bite off an officer's finger, completely off, sever it, and 15 days you can go out and hang out with your homies. Okay, not. So that's when I get into, it's tough, what the answers are, where are we? And then you have enough stressors with everything that's going on, and now you have these management teams, and you have, the spokesperson for DOCCS is going out there making threats. Oh, there'll be consequences. And you have these crazy memos that are coming out, and they don't work with you. They just come out and make threats. If this is what we expect, and if you don't do that, this here. Well, first of all, it's not a legal order to begin with, so you can wipe your ass with that memo. And the second part of that is, where is everything with working with somebody? I get that you're limited in what you can do because you just don't have the bodies. I sympathize with any management team because you're working with nothing and you're expected to produce a product, but the people that are paying the price for your crazy policies are the people that you're expecting the most out of. Something's got to give, and right now it's the officers that are giving. They're giving with their blood, they're giving with their health, they're giving with their home life, they're giving with divorce. I mean, come on. I'll work 100 hours and take the overtime this week. Money's good, but it's not good to you if you're dead. So let's try to treat people and get back to, we're dealing with humans. You keep saying that the incarcerated population, we have to humanize that and do that. Why aren't you doing that with the officers? Let's make it and solve problems by talking like humans instead of making these threats. I just don't agree with it. I don't agree ever have. I've had some great superintendents. I've had some great upper management. I still talk to a lot of them people today. I've gotten a lot of messages over the last a week, especially the last couple days, as far as what people are wanting to do it. And I will never sit here and say that you should or shouldn't strike. But people feel like they don't have a choice, and when they don't have a choice, that's when bad things come, because they take it upon themselves. You can blame the union all you want, you can blame management all you want, and everybody wants to blame somebody in today's society. But you have to try to solve the problems. These crazy memos come out. Start by talking to the local union. One, did they come up with the agreement? I doubt it, but start there. Then make your regional union reps responsible and make sure that they have the information. I put it out the other day, I'd rather have the information 100 times, than not hear it once. And, everybody, it's easy to blame the union. And there's plenty of blame to go around on everyone, a PR campaign and different things that have you, and how to get to the governor. We can all have our different opinions like that. But as I said before, opinions are like assholes. Everybody has one. Doesn't mean that you're going to get everybody to agree, but everybody thinks that the union can wave this magic wand and make the staffing crisis go away. That is solely on DOCCS. Should the union help and try to drive some of their ideas home? Yes, but what do you do when an organization or an agency or a governor doesn't listen? And that's why members are starting to feel that it's in their own times. And I don't care we can all pick a union president from the beginning. We can go back to Council 82. We can go back to to nice COBA days, for Brian Shaniger, to Rick Hartgrove, to Larry Flanagan, to Don Rowe. Guess what? When every person left their position as president, they didn't get a cushy job in Building 2 or now Building 4 or any of the Palace Guards. They went back to the jail that they were assigned to, and guess what? They went to work. So nobody is getting here is getting, if I read some of the crazy comments the other day, it's easy for even me retired, just to sit back and say, and make all this information, but it's not information that I'm just throwing out there that isn't accurate. You may not like the messenger, as I said in my last podcast, but it's accurate information. What are you going to do with it? You can sit there and blame Vinny Blasio all day long. Blame me, I don't care, but how about solving the problem? You're coming up with regional recruitments. Is that going to work? Yeah. Does that open up the door to something else that I don't like? Possibly. It was discussed when I was part of the executive board in Albany, and some of those players are the same things. And if they're going down that road, that was something that I don't like. But I'm not going to. But at least it's an idea, so I'm not going to shit it down and say don't do regional hiring. You just have to be careful of some of the anomalies that go with that. But with that said, there's other things that people have suggested. Some good, some bad. But like I said, a bad plan is better than no plan. Shutting things down. You can't possibly keep up the programming when you don't have the staff. It's not safe for the inmates. It's not safe for the officers. And everybody at the end of the day has the same goal. I don't believe DOCCS management, I don't believe the governor's office, I don't believe the union wants anybody to have a bad day. That part I don't believe. Now, do they contribute with shitty policies and shitty styles of management to help contribute to everyone having a bad day? Absolutely. And that's some of the things that everyone's trying to bring to light. You've seen all the press conferences, from the closing of the jails to the situations that happened. The press conference that was outside of Collins, the press conference that's coming up on the 15th out in Sunset Bay in Irving, New York, which I hope everybody goes out to. I'm going to try to make it for that, and obviously the golf tournament for Al Mothershed, who was a dear friend of mine. We work together hand in glove, so a lot of these things have been ingrained in me because of Al and the things that we've discussed, and I know that if he was around today, God rest his soul, that he would look around and not recognize what the department has come, or some of the people, what they have become. It's sickening and sad. And again, we need to, not me, but everybody needs to, become together. And I don't think I've seen the unity that the department is driving. The unity is probably bigger now and better than it has been, because of everybody's in a bad situation. It shouldn't come to that, but that's the time and environment that we live in. So again, I will close with that today. We'll pick up on it, on the people's other things and striking and other things. As I said before, there's a time and a place under the sun for everything. With closures going on and these threats, it makes for a bad environment. But hang together, because if not, you will hang separately. And the way DOCCS management style is they're going to be out, for lack of a better word, for blood, for when people screw up, and it's sad. It's sad how they treat people. But again, we'll talk on that in the next podcast. So we will sign off for today, and we'll pick up again soon, probably later this afternoon. Thanks, everyone. Have a good day.